After their latest mission, 3 teenage girls, Sam, a red-haired girl, Clover, a blonde-haired girl, and Alex, a dark-haired girl, were at Whoop headquarters with their boss Jerry giving them their latest word. Girls, on your next mission, you'll be joined up by a new spy. Actually, this is permanent. Are we? Sweet, they said in excitement. But, Jerry added, I don't mean to interrupt you, Jer, but what is his name? Sam asked, looking excited than ever. I was going to tell you girls. The new spy is not a girl this time. It will be a boy who is just about your ages. And pretty smart too. His name is Mat49324, finished Jerry. A boy? Joining us? They all said in surprise. Don't worry, girls. Just give him a chance and you'll grow into liking him. He will be with you in and out of school and on the missions, trust me, Jerry assured them. One Friday morning, the girls were at school, Beverly Hills High. They heard the bell for their first class in English, and off they went. Their teacher, Miss Jones, said, Boys and girls, we have a new student here for the very first time, so make him feel at home and treat him nicely. A young man, will you introduce yourself to the class and tell them about yourself? She asked. Okay, I said, looking nervous but pretty calm. I wore a green motocross t-shirt with a lot of motorcycle sponsors on the front. On the back was Michael Burns' last name, whose name was under the name 26. I also wore a pair of regular pants at my knees and a pair of beach-like slippers. Hi everyone. My name is Mat49324. My birthday's on February 16th, 1988, and I'm 16 years old, and I just transferred here from Oahu, Hawaii, just yesterday, because I really didn't like the whole Hawaiian look or the beach, so I decided to come here. I'm one of the lighter teams because I only weigh 112 libs, but I am taller than the people in my family, because I'm taller than my mom, and my 2 grandmas, and my mom's brother, and about 16 of my aunts. I'm 5'9", and perfectly satisfied with my weight and spare time. I ride off-road motorcycles, bicycles, play video games, watch TV shows like Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy. I am really good at the wheel. I get most of the puzzles here before anyone else does. Anyway, I also watch cartoons on Cartoon Network, HBO comedy with George Carlin, and motocross racing with ESPN2 with my dad. I also enjoy listening to music from the 1980s and 90s, and now playing on a computer just to lie in bed. Some things you might want to know about me. I used to go to church until when I was in Hawaii, and the only thing that bugs me is that people spell my name with 2 T's, and it bugs me a little. The class applauded when after I finished, and so did Mrs. Jones. Thank you, Matthew, she said. She added, your seat is next to Sam, one of the brightest students. She is one hearing the green tank top with the flower blouse. Okay, thanks a lot, I said. Not feeling so nervous anymore, I took my seat. Clover was wearing a short red tank top with long red pants, and Alex was wearing a light pink shirt with pants. Class, Miss Jones announced, we are supposed to start on a class project only today, but since Matthew is here for the first time, I thought it'd be best to do is after the spring break if everyone's okay with that, she asked. Yes, Miss Jones, they all responded. For today only, I think Matthew and I would appreciate if we all wrote a paragraph or two describing about yourselves, and then hand it to me and you'll get automatically 15 points. Don't worry, spelling doesn't count, but neat writing is to me so Matthew can read it. The whole class agreed to do separate compliments and a little disappointment. You'll be given pretty much the whole class period to write your papers, so just relax and take your time. When you're done, you can do whatever you like and talk some stories, or play games on the paper, or you could sit quietly at your desk, Miss Jones said, as the class was relieved. The class began writing papers about themselves a lot and fought, pencils sharpened and erasers rubbing pens across out when mistakes were being made. During the writing, I looked over the room and I came to Sam's face. I felt love-struck when I fell asleep shortly after that. After about 10 minutes, Sam, Clover, and Alex were done with their papers, and they handed them them in. Miss Jones wrote a pen 15 circle around it with the positive compliments that it was interesting. Good job, etc. When Sam decided to ask me something, she looked a little nervous as I fell fast asleep. Hey, Matthew, can I ask you something? Matthew woke up, but I didn't hear her. She then tickled my nose with her finger saying, coochie coochie coo. And then I woke up saying, what? I was surprised and looking startled, almost jumping out of my seat. Did you just call me Sam? I asked. She said, are you okay with that because you didn't look like you got enough sleep last night, she said. Yes, I am. It's just when I arrived here on Thursday, it was about midnight and I didn't get to my new house, which is next to yours, about maybe 1:30 in that morning, and I'm still pretty tired. I only got 4 or 5 hours of sleep that same night. My mom told me that I had to wait till I was at the peak of strength, but I insisted on going on my first day of school here because I wanted to see how I feel. Hopefully I'll survive the whole day because I didn't feel like I'm in Damon Huffman's shoes when he didn't arrive on Walton, Ontario from Lat A until around 2 or 3 in the morning, or on this case 8/17/03, the final round of the 2003 Canadian Motocross Nationals. Thank you for asking, I said. All of a sudden the bell rang and rang for recess, and there was no mission yet. The girls all waited to come out of their classroom. After about a half a minute, I came out. They led me to another part of the school where a few people are. Matthew, Sam said sweetly, I want you to welcome you to our spy team, and these are my 2 best friends, Clover and Alex. Nice to meet you guys, I said, less tired, but in sweet voice. Since 3 of us are spies, you're our new member, just promise us one thing. Don't tell anybody in or out of school, she whispered in my ear in a serious tone. Okay, I promise. You can trust me because I keep my word, I said, holding up my hand. My face started to blush again around Sam. I was in love with her. Anyway, Sam said sweetly again, Clover and Alex are going to be coming over to my house for a sleepover for maybe half the spring. So I wanted you to know that if you wanted to join us, we could just relax in my hot tub, watch TV or a DVD in my room, or the sunset from my balcony, just the 4 of us together. Her face started to blush like if she was in love with me as well. Sure, I'd love to. I'd love to have enough guilt to say no to a pretty girl like you. You, I said, with a little emotion, then added, then just ask my mom first, and by the way, Sam, you look really great, and I really like you. I then extended my little finger to Sam's promise to meet up with each other at the house. Then love started reflecting on her eyes. You also look great, and I really like you too, Matthew, she said, starting to blush. Then the bell rang and recess was over. My friends and my secret crush Sam, Clover, and Alex were all walked up to the rest of our classes. After about 5.5 more hours, school was finally over for spring, and all 4 of us were at Sam's house on the doorstep on time. So what do you guys want to do first? Sam asked. Maybe we could spend more time in your hot tub, Sammy, I suggested. The girls agreed, and Sam opened her front door. We heard a strange sound that was growing under us and opened up. We screamed as we fell through and landed in our comfort. Whoop. Afternoon, ladies. I could see you gave your new spy a chance. I'm proud of all 3 of you girls, Jerry said, greeting them. Maybe too big of a chance, Jer, Clover said. Matthew and Sam have fallen in love with each other, Alex added. How nice, Jerry said. Now, the mission of you free video game manuals have been stolen by stores all around the U.S. Whoop wants you to undercover the reports to find out what or who is responsible for stealing these manuals. You will start at the last city where the last robbery occurred. Miami, Florida. Now go to your gadgets today. You'll be receiving your ice perfume, powder scope sunglasses. We'll be able to see backwards from side to side, expandable cable bungee belts, and finally you'll be going into the RASH. Thanks, Jerry. We'll be in touch, Sam said. Good luck, spies, and be careful. Jerry presses the button as they fell through the floor. We came into the store where we last saw the video game manual robbery that took place, and we questioned the guy at the front desk. And he said, I wish I knew what's going on, but the only thing I do know is that the relief that just wants the manuals for him or herself. Thanks for your time anyway, we said. We left and called Jerry. On our way, Clover found the cover of the page to Super Mario Advance 4/Super Mario Bros. Free/Super Mario's Manual. This isn't you, Matthew, she said, picking it up. Well, personally, I like play video games, and I use the manuals for help, but I wouldn't steal one. So don't look at me, I said. I agree with him. He wouldn't steal anything because he looks so sweet and serious, Sam said, supporting me. She then wrapped her left arm around me and smiled at me, and I smiled back. Thanks, Sam. I'm glad someone believes me already, Sam gasped as I leaned over to kiss her cheek. Then she started blushing. Okay, too much love. Let's cut the chit-chat and cut to the chase, I said. Okay. That's right, I almost forgot. Thanks, Matthew, Sam said, feeling a little embarrassed. Now what? Alex asked. Call Jerry and let him know what we found, Sam protested. She took out her compounder and opened it up, and Jerry appeared on screen. Hello, girls and Matthew, Jerry said. How's the mission coming along? Not too bad, Jer. We just found a cover of a page of one of the manuals, and I think it has fingerprints on them. It might help us on who it is for stealing the manuals. She closed her compounder and analyzing the situation with us. Well, we know by the heart it isn't Matthew, but who would it be? She asked. Well, you got this, we said. Looks like we'll have to find out tonight, Clover said. So here's the idea. We'll stay at the store overnight and hang on the roof using our belts, and if the thief comes, we'll pounce on the sucker and then spray whoever it was there with Ice Queen perfume. And when he attempts to escape, the sucker will never know what would happen, Sam said. I like that, Sam, I said, and I gave her 2 thumbs up. Sam's compounder rang, and it was Jerry. Girls, I just found out something about the video game manual cover you showed me. It seems to be someone about maybe 5'2" and weighs about 111 pounds. Thanks, Jer, Sam said, and then closed her compounder. Just as the shop closed, it was around maybe 5:30 p.m. The theft came and their plan worked. Okay, pal, what's with stealing with these manuals? I asked. My mom never let me have a freaking manual, even though I wanted one so bad, and all the simple one, but no, I was so mad. I wanted to kill that selfish for basically getting the manuals was for myself, and I succeeded in my games, he said. Jerry and the other agents from Whoop arrived to take the thief away to a high-security prison. Congrats, Spies. You saved the video game manual shopping for everyone for Crazy for Video Games, Jerry said. Thanks, Jer, they all said, and then Jerry said, you all 4 should take spring off after that assignment. Back at home, we were at Sam's house in our promised sleepover, and getting dressed in our bathing suits to go into Sam's heart-shaped hot tub. Sam wore a green bathing suit with her sides showing. Clover wore a 2-piece blue bathing suit. Alex wore a 2-piece yellow bathing suit, and I wore blue monocross shirt with white on the back half-crossed Voss on the name on it, and 28 under the last name was a pair of dark blue and white and yellow shorts. I went in first, but I took off my shirt first, and Sam stepped in second, Alex stepped in third, and Clover came in last. Sam and I sat next to each other with my love arm around her, and Clover and Alex sat next to each other, not too far away from where Sam and I sat. It was just after 7 p.m., and we were all enjoying our spring vacation from Whoop and school. This feels nice, Sam, I said sweetly. Thanks, she said, almost blushing, or being given a kiss somewhere on her face. After about 25 minutes, Alex said, I think we should leave these 2 lovebirds alone. We don't want to disturb them. Clover agreed. Hey, Sammy, Clover and I will be waiting for you into your room, Alex said. Okay, Sam said. Alex and Clover stepped out of Sam's hot tub and went inside Sam's house, leaving the 2 of us alone. I guess it's just you and me together, Sam said in a soft voice. We started blushing around each other, and then I'd wink herself and smiled. We kissed each other on our lips so much that we felt like non-stopping. Matthew, will you ever be my new boyfriend? Sam sweetly asked, starting to blush. Oh, I don't know. I never had that much luck on having a girlfriend, I said. Well, you see, the last time I had a boyfriend, he turned out to be a criminal and was just using me to steal visibility formula. He also got in my way of my friendship, she said to me, forming a tear in her eye. She kept her fingers crossed, hoping I would say yes, and Sam tried to remain as calm as she could. But the feeling of her asking me roamed in her stomach, her breasts, her brain, and her heart. So, do you believe me? She asked, trying not to cry. Sam was looking down at the water as a part of her bathing suit, and the tear was just about to fall from her cheek. I put a comforting arm around her shoulder and hugged her gently. then said softly and confidently, "Don't cry, Sammy. I believe in you. Ever since you believed me on the mission, I figured that I would have believed in you too. I do feel sorry for you, but ever since you were trying that boyfriend that thing one time, I just can't say no. So I accept to be your new boyfriend, Sammy. Plus, I really love and care for you a lot, because I like girls with long hair and sweet attitude around her friends and myself. And you fall in love in these categories, not to mention that I think you're the hottest girl in school." After hearing that word, hottest, she started to blush and then said, "Matthew, thank you. That's really sweet of you to say that." She smiled, hugged, and softly kissed each other one last time before coming out of the hot tub. After drying off, I put on my motocross shirt back on and we both went inside. "Oh, and by the way, Sam," I said, "I had a little more time before we started the mission, so I got you this." Sam gasped as I picked up my regular pair of pants, took out a small green jewelry box out of one of the pockets, and then handed it to her. She opened it up, and inside was an emerald pendant. She was so surprised, she said, "Oh, thanks so much, Matthew. I love it so much, and you too. I won't lose it, and I'll wear it every day." She kissed me on the nose. "No problem, and I'm glad you like it." "Can I put it on you?" I asked. "Sure," Sam said. I placed it perfectly around her neck. I thought it would look so good since the pendant matches their beautiful eyes. It matches your bathing suit, and you might say that I say it's a pretty pendant. But of course, I haven't seen anything like that. But you look great and perfect in green," I said. "Thanks, you're such a sweet with a heart of gold. And thanks for this pendant," Sam said as she held my body close to her body, ignoring the fact that her bathing suit was a little wet. She embraced me and caressed her cheek, and then we got caught in a deep love. As our lips met each other, we were caught in a soft kiss. Still wearing our bathing suits, we sat down on the couch and watched a little TV. When it was around 10 p.m., I switched on the channel to HBO to find George Carlin, an episode on. "You would have to try to watch this show, Sammy. This guy is so funny. I'm sure you'll laugh quite a bit," I said to her, and Sam said a simple okay. During the 1-hour program, Carlin joked, "Survival, okay? In order to learn that, Mother Nature, yeah, always took my cure for nature. I do realize sometime that ago, you know that I'm not separate from the nature just because I have a primitive brain. The upper brain is just the underneath of the primitive brain and the minimal brain, and brief within a minute. The brain is a reptilian brain, and it gives the 2 lower parts of the brain to make an upper brain possible to be in place. Here's why it works. Primate brain goes, give that piece a chance. The animation brain says, give that piece a chance, but first let's kill its mother first. And then with the reptilian brain says, let's just kill it. And peace rally and get inlaid. Survival, more important thing, the next thing it was, reminds me of the same thing that third grader teacher told us. She said, you do have a tropical fruit, and I'll show you some from the Guinea, Guatemala. No, wait, that wasn't her. That was just some guy I met in the army. I always confuse those kind of people. When it was, hot as, scab, and I really love scabs. And other funny stuff. When the program was done, I burst into Sam's floor laughing my rear off. Sam laughed off too, but not as much as me. Then we got up to change our clothes and took our showers, and then we headed for the bed in Sam's room. Before I went into her room, I asked Sam, do you want to hold my hand to show how much I love her? She said sure, and then we started to blush once again. We came into Alex and Clover that were already changed their sleepover clothes and were sleeping. It was about 11 p.m. as we tiptoed over to Sam's bed. She got in, and after that, she got to me softly. You can sleep on my couch, and before we go to sleep, consider this a gift for accepting me to be your new boyfriend. She kissed me on the cheek and nose, forehead, and lips. Thanks, I said, in a loving and soft voice. We softly kissed each other's lips one more time, and we went to sleep. The next day, the girls were awake around 8 a.m., getting dressed in their bathing suits once again. Alex and Clover were wearing the same bathing suits as last night, while we were relaxed in Sam's hot tub. Sam wore a pink bathing suit identical to her green one. I was still sleeping, and the girls this time were going to Clover's house to swim in her pool. Sam did try to wake me up by saying, "Matthew, wake up. We want to ask you something." But once again, I didn't hear her. "This ought to wake him up," Sam predicted as she put on some lipstick, and when I turned to see me my back facing the couch, she kissed me on my lips and I woke up energized. "Wow, the kiss worked. Way to go, Sammy," Clover said, looking surprised. "Thanks, Clover. Matthew, the three of us are going to go to Clover's house to go for a swim in the pool since it's about 90 degrees this morning, and we wanted to know if you want to join us." "We're all dressed up," Sam said. "Of course I'll join you guys. Let me just go get dressed and brush my teeth and then we can go," I said. After about 2 minutes, I finished and we left for Clover's house. Then when we arrived, we climbed above Clover's diving board and jumped in the pool all at one time. And of course, Clover jumped in first, Sam second, Alex third, and I jumped in last. We swam for about maybe 45 minutes and then came out and dry off. Just we sat with our legs in the pool, Sam next to me on my right side. Alex was next to my left side, and of course, Clover sat next to me on Sam's left side. I really needed to exercise, but to thank you girls for getting me off my rear end and then to the outdoors, because most of the time I just sit around in front of the TV and eat some snacks or play some video games most of the exercise of riding dirt bikes. So I just wanted to say thank you girls so much, because I haven't been active out of school since the 4th grade or so. By the way, did I mention that I like hanging out with you girls? I said. "You're very welcome, and no, don't mention that," they said. I kissed all of them on their lips and cheek. "I like you all, but I think I like Sam more because I like girls with long hair and sweet attitude around me or her friends. Clover, Alex, you two are okay, but I think Sam and I are meant for each other," I said. "Oh, okay," they both said. "You wouldn't mind if I hang out with you girls, won't you?" I asked, then added, "I want to hang out with you because when I sat with you guys in Sam's hot tub last night, it really brought my true self, and I figured I hanged out with you free, and then I wouldn't get in the way of your friendship, like Sammy had a boyfriend. Sure, you can hang out with us, but we spend a lot of time together at the mall," Sam said. "That's okay. I'm perfectly fine with that, but if you're up for the beach, I'll still tag along, even though I'm staying out of the water because last time I went, I was a boogie boarding with my dad, and I got stung by a Portuguese man-o-war in both my ankles, which was about 9 years ago, and I haven't been there since. Shore-wise, that is," I replied and finished. "That long?" they said in amazement. "Don't worry, Matthew, there probably isn't another man-o-war around for maybe miles, and you can still hang out with us even if we do plan to go to the beach," Sam said, and kissed me right on the cheek. After noticing the bathing suit had completely dried off and taken to me, she asked us, "You guys want to go back in?" "I'm going back in," when we said in a simple sure, and we went back into the swim and played until lunch. And that, my little pretties, was How I Met the Spies, a Totally Spies fanfiction written by Mat49324. Matt, I want to thank you so much for the story. This story was absolutely amazing. My final thoughts on the story? Well, it's about time I got to this fanfiction, as you probably remembered me reading the Futures of Sam and Me story. That was about, I think it was in June or something. Yeah, it might have been June, and it's been a long time since I've read like a story by this user. So this is this guy's very first fanfiction, so I am gonna be easy on it. Now, normally I don't really like the fact that people say it's their first story or something, because I could let it slide if it's their first story, depending on who it is. But if it's just, like anybody from the Goshia Wiki, that's definitely different, because I've ranted on stories from the Goshia Wiki at the past. So I could definitely say that right now. But I'm willing to give an excuse on this for this person, because I've talked to this guy like a lot, and I like the Totally Spies stories that he did. And I have checked them out, and they're actually pretty good, to be completely honest. Now, I actually found this story to be rather decent and really well made. It's not bad for fan fiction. Like, this is actually a really decent and well made Totally Spy fan fiction, even though it's the person's first time, but it's still pretty good. Now, I really like that it kept into like this kind of theme, with the Totally Spies theme, the whole story. I'm really glad it didn't go completely all over the place on like most creepypastas do tend to do nowadays, especially bad ones. But this one actually kept to the theme, and despite the fact, with, one of the girls having a crush on somebody and Totally Spies, and then weird stuff going on, I could definitely see this being the case when it comes to Totally Spies. I could definitely see the case. I could actually see this being a Totally Spies fan fiction. I could definitely really see Totally Spies, going in that route. I could definitely see that. So that's definitely something I'm willing to say, that I'm really going to say right now, that I could definitely see this being the case. But I could definitely say that I could actually see this being a real episode of it. So that's definitely a positive. I could definitely say it didn't go all over the place, not like Sweet Apple Massacre or anything like that. Oh my goodness, it was like, ugh. But I could definitely say that this story was actually really well made, and I could definitely say, I could see this being a real episode of Totally Spies. Even though this is a fan fiction, I could see this being the case. I could just definitely picture this as a real episode, and I could definitely really see it. How I know is just because I can actually see it. So that's something I'm gonna be completely honest. Now, is there anything negative I have to say? Well, it's not negative, but I could definitely say there are a few things that I want to point out that I wasn't really too crazy on this story. Oh, pardon me about that. So, the first thing I could definitely say that, well, the sentence structuring was alright in this part, along with the grammar being alright and the sentence structure being alright. There were actually some grammatical errors in each chapter of the story, so I stuttered some top points because the grammar was like a little off, or the sentence structure was off, and there was even paragraphs that should have been split into separate ones, because there was a few paragraphs that were a little too big, and they were kind of confusing at times to read. So I could definitely say that right now. But I'm gonna say that right now, that what I would really do, but I could definitely say, but there are some misspellings in the story, so I could definitely fully say that right now. So I definitely say that the story right here is just completely messed up. Well, not messed up, but some of the sentence structurings are were a little off. Like I saw, there was some punctuation errors throughout the story. There was a couple of grammatical errors, so I definitely have to say that right now. Now, what I could definitely say, what I would suggest to do is probably fix out the spelling errors and punctuation errors. That way the story would be a lot more easier to read. Like, I would, it would be easier if the grammar could be fixed up. Like, it could be fixed up. I know the grammar needed to be fixed up, so that's actually something I'm gonna say right now. But I can also definitely say that I would really appreciate if the story was, it could be fixed up. I could definitely say that. But what I would suggest to you to do, Matt, if you were to write another story, I highly recommend you use Google Docs, because Google Docs can easily fix these errors and stuff like that. So I could definitely say that right now, that the story itself, it just needs to be fixed up at certain parts. But other than that, the story was really well done and really good job. And I have to say, you did a pretty good job in this, Matt. Now, I'm gonna wrap up the review because the story was long, but I have to say it was really good, in my opinion. Although the punctuation errors need to be fixed up, along with the sentence structuring needs to be fixed up. The grammar was alright, and everything was alright for the most part, but it just needs to be fixed up. But other than that, I could definitely compare this one with The Futures of Sam and Me, and I could see there was a lot of great improvement, so congratulations on that. So I'm gonna say right now that this is simply my own personal opinion, and if you disagree with me, that's fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions in regards to these creepypastas, and this is simply my own personal thoughts. My final rating of this story, well, I'm gonna give this one an 8 out of 10. I'm giving this an 8 out of 10 because I'm really glad that it kept to that theme, like of Totally Spies. I can actually see this being a real episode. I found it to be cute nevertheless, and it was pretty well made. But I could definitely say the grammar needs to be fixed up at certain parts. The sentence structure needs to be fixed up. The spelling errors and punctuation errors just need to be fixed up. The paragraph structure needs a little bit of work, but other than that, the story was absolutely beautiful, really well done, and amazing. So I could definitely say you did your best right there, Matt. So that's a very good positive I'm going to say with this story. So I could definitely say 8 out of 10, really good for a first time, even though it needs to be fixed up at certain parts, but other than that, the story was really good. So I could definitely say right now that I could actually see this being a real episode of Totally Spies. I could just somewhat see it. That's the thing I could definitely say. I could somewhat see it. So, but anyways, what did you all think about this creepypasta or fanfiction? I'm calling it fanfiction, but if you guys see it more of a feels pasta or something, feel free to let me know. But anyways, what did you all think about this pasta? Did you all enjoy it? Did you not? Also, what we have done personally to help make this story a lot better. Leave me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section down below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. If you're brand new here to this channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because I make brand new videos every single day. Don't forget to ring the notification bell to when I upload so then you guys don't miss an upload. And as always, please roll the outro because I'm out of here and I will be seeing you all in the next video. So I'm going to head out, peace out, and I'll catch you all next time. And as always, please roll the outro because I'm